Hi and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today we have a 2003 Ford Explorer. We're going to be changing brakes and rotors. We're going to change the hardware kit and we're going to repack the wheel bearings and change the seal on the back of the rotor. Like I said, the rotor is in poor condition, so we are going to be changing it. So I'm going to show you how to take the wheel bearings off, how to get the seals out without damaging the bearings internally, and then how to go about packing the wheel bearings and reassembling the whole job to get it out the door. All right, so let me bring you up front. I'll show you what tools we're going to need, and then we're going to get started. I will warn you, packing wheel bearings is messy. Make sure you have gloves because it is very messy. So, all right, let's get up there. I'll show you what you're going to do. First. Okay, first thing I'm going to show you is what you're going to need. You're going to need some rags, of course, a hammer, a small pry bar, which I might add, Matt, thank you very much. I know you sent that to me, so I appreciate the tools. A hammer, a file, possibly a pair of adjustable channel locks, a pair of cutting pliers, your new brakes hardware, and the inner seal for the bearing. You're going to need some ratchets. I think these are 15 millimeter sockets, or possibly 14 here and a 15 here. The 14 is to take off the caliper mounting bolts that actually support the or attach the caliper to the mounting bracket, and this will be to take the mounting bracket off of the truck itself. An assortment of sockets, a screwdriver. You're going to need my favorite thing, synthetic brake grease for the replacement of the brakes and to lubricate the hardware kit, as well as the slide pins. And you're going to need some wheel bearing grease to pack up the wheel bearings. You're going to need a ratchet if you choose to torque everything back on. This is actually, it's a torque wrench, so you may need this, you may not, depending on what you want to do. All right, and this is what we're going to do. First thing we'll do is we're going to get in here, we're going to push these pistons back in just like every other vehicle you've seen me do before. We're going to make sure that these slide pins here slide properly, which I know the other side I've done it already, so I know that they slide on the other side, so hopefully these will also. We're going to take this off, bring it to the side. We're going to hang the caliper here with a hanger, and then we're going to remove this mounting bracket here, and then we're going to take these bearings off by popping this cap off. Now you can see already, somebody has already smashed this cap up here. You never want to do that. You never want to smash the cap down, because if you smash this cap down and it touches into the cotter pin or it touches into the bearing, you're going to get a clicking noise. When this rotates, you'll get a clicking noise. But I'll show you how to do that. So, all right, let me get set up and grab some tools, and let's get started. Okay, I hope you're going to be able to see here. I know the light is going to be an issue because it's a little bit dark right here where I'm working. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pry bar. You're going to put it in through the back over here, right through there, so it comes right out this point right here, and then you just keep slight pressure on it to push the pistons back in. I'm going to grab a bucket because we're already leaking brake fluid down here. Okay, we got a bucket down on the bottom. We're going to push this piston back in now, and we're going to make sure that these slide properly. Now the reason that we're leaking brake fluid is because somebody overfilled the master cylinder on here. You're never supposed to fill it. When the fluid goes down, you always make sure it's between the minimum and the maximum. Somebody here filled it up too full. All right, so we're going to push this back a little bit. Same thing here, because this is a double piston caliper, so we're going to make sure both of these pistons get pushed back in. You can see the brake fluid coming down right there. I do have a bucket. All right, now we're going to make sure the piston is pushed all the way back in to the bore, because it'll save a little bit of a work later on. They put a lot of brake fluid in this thing. Now, if you don't have a pry bar like that, you can use a very large screwdriver to accomplish the same thing. Just put it in there and you push it, and you push it back in. The main thing is you want to make sure that the pistons push back into the bore here and they're not staying applied. I'm going to keep the light over here, see if that'll help at all. Okay, now we're going to check these slide pins right here to make sure they slide properly. That one feels a little bit tight, so we're going to remove this caliper and we're going to take a look at it. It could be tight. It could be tight because of the lack of grease, but we'll see. All right, so now this is a 14 millimeter. We're going to take this mounting bracket and take these bolts out that attach the caliper to the mounting bracket. Don't lose these. You're going to need them. I bet you heard me say that about 1,000,000 times. We're going to put these off to the side. We're going to take our hanger and we're going to take our caliper off. Hook it like this. And just put it up and out of the way like this for now. Now these slide pins here should slide freely back and forth. That one you see does move, slide nice and easy. And this one does also. So we know that the problem with these is not so much that they're rusted, they lack a lubricant. I'll show you what I mean. So we're just going to take this boot and pull the boot back, and you can see that pin has got no grease on it whatsoever. Okay? It's dry. So this needs to be lubricated and it will slide nice and freely. Let me show you right now actually. Right? Just put a little bit of grease, the synthetic grease, just like this. This one I'm going to put a little more than I normally would, just because it's bone dry. And you'll put this back in here, push it in, make sure that little boot pops up, and you can see nice and freely, just the way it's supposed to. Let's do the top one at the same time while we're here. Normally I don't do that. I'll do it on the bench, but that gives you an idea. Okay, now these brake pads, you could take them off if you want to. You don't have to. You can take them off later on. I'm just going to pull them out of here because they're going to fall probably. So we're going to take these out of here. As you can see, it's dead. All right, now in the back of the rotor right here, there's a 15 millimeter here, and up underneath here, there's also a 15 millimeter right there. So we're going to take those two out. Okay, let me go back. You know what? I almost forgot to tell you. I got sidetracked. Somebody came in and I lost track of what I was doing. Okay. Now normally I would just pack these up later on, but I just want to show you this now. All right, remember how frozen that was, where it was sliding very sluggishly and you could feel it binding? When you put the lubricant on there, you'll see it slides nice and easy. See, nice and easy, just the way it's supposed to. So, all right, let's take that bracket off, and we're going to continue now. Now, normally when you break them loose, they come out fairly easy, as you can see. Now you can use a deep socket to get in there, or if you don't have a deep socket, you can use one with a short extension too to get in there, because it is a little tight getting around that. All right, so we'll take that mounting bracket out. I'm sorry, I don't want to block it on you. Don't lose these bolts. We're going to take this off. We're going to take these off here. I'm going to do this now. Normally I do it later on, but you just get in here with a screwdriver underneath the bottom like this, and you just pry it up. This is the hardware kit. You pull it off like that, and we're going to throw this away. We're not reusing it. Same thing over here, underneath it with a screwdriver, and pry it out. Now, if there is a significant amount of rust inside here, you need to clean that rust out of there, because if there's rust inside there, it's going to obstruct the sliding of the brake pads themselves. Now, if you have a piece of sandpaper, fine. If not, you can use a file, but you want to just take out the rust. You don't want to take away any of the metal itself. So, all right, we'll come back. You know what? Let me just do this real quick, and then we'll show you how to put it together. Okay. Now, wherever the mounting bracket goes, I always put a little bit of lubricant on here too. It'll keep it from rusting later on. Just like this. We're going to grab our new hardware kit. Now, there's only one way it can go on. You see this little indented area here. It goes over the top like this, and you just push it down like that. Make sure that that clip is pushed in place right there, like that, and that's it. The same thing on this side over here. Over the top like this, push it in place, like that. Make sure that this pushes in, just like that, and that's it. That's in also. Now, okay, and you just put the synthetic grease anywhere that the brake pad is going to touch, just like this. Same thing up here, like that. And now for now we're just going to put this on the side. You know what? Let me just show you real quick here. Now the brake, a lot of times it's easier to put the brake pads in here than on the vehicle itself. You just put it in here like this, and you turn it. Like that, so that slides nice and freely the way it's supposed to. All right, and now we'll continue with the rotor. And we're going to put the other brake pad right in here also. Okay, that's our brake pads, and now we'll come back and we'll put this back on the car after we change the rotor. So we're going to set this off to the side right now. Okay, now to change this rotor, we need to remove this cap right here. You could get in here with a very large pair of channel locks like this, and you just pull it off like that. And if that doesn't work, you can get in here with a screwdriver and you can pry it out. You just don't want to damage this over here. So for me, the channel lock worked the best. So we'll take that and put that off to the side right now. Next thing we're going to do is going to take out this cotter pin. Now you see this cotter pin right here? You see how this pin is in here and this is out to the side? Somebody didn't bend this down the right way. This should have been bent down all the way. I'll show you when I put it back together. Bend it down like that and like this. You just lift the cotter pin up, put a pair of cutting pliers on it like this, and you pull at the same time, and you can pull the cotter pin up and out just like that. Now if you're going to reuse it, you want to straighten it out. I don't reuse them, I just change and put new ones in. But if you're going to reuse it, that's what you would do. To take this nut off here, you just put a pair of channel locks on it, and you can take it off just like this too. Now, this is where the wheel bearings are actually located. We're just going to put this here for 1 second. We're going to take off the bearing, and you'll see that it has this spacer over the top, or this washer over the top. There's only one way it can go in. You'll see it's cut out right there, and this goes on top of it like that. So for now, we're going to put this on the side. Now we're going to take this rotor off. And you see me screwing this nut back on here. There's a reason for that. The reason I put that nut back on is because you can get in the back over here with a brass drift to knock out the old bearing in the back. But this way is a lot easier, and you're not going to damage the bearing. Screw the nut back on. You're going to take off the lock pin, the lock cover that goes over the nut. We'll put that on the side for now. Take the rotor off like this. You'll feel it slides off in the inside. You tilt the rotor slightly down. I'm going to exaggerate it now. You see how it's tilted down like this? You just tilt it down very little, and then you pull it real quickly and you snap it off. You see? It knocks the bearing right out. It takes the bearing and the seal out without beating the heck out of it from the inside with a brass drift to try to knock it out. All right, so now we got to pack these wheel bearings. This is trash. We're going to change it. We're going to pack up these wheel bearings. But before we pack these wheel bearings, you want to clean off all that crap, all that stuff that's on there now, the old grease. You want to clean it up because you don't want any old grease back inside there. You want to put new stuff in there. So we're going to clean it all off. Clean the bearing. If you have a machine to clean it in, fine. If you don't have a machine, if you just wipe it down like this, it'll be fine to get the majority of the grease out. Now I know a lot of you guys don't have the machine, so you just clean it off like this the best you can. Okay? Now, we're going to do the exact same thing with the other bearing, but I want to show you now how to properly pack a wheel bearing. Honestly, here at the shop, we have a tool that we put the bearing into that we used to pump grease into to fill up the bearing. Did I use it? Yes. Did I like it? No. I'd rather do it by hand because I can see what's happening. You see the back right over here? This is where the grease has to go in. You need to push grease in through here until it comes out over here. When it comes out over here, it's going to push all that old bad grease out, and then you can get rid of it. So I'm going to show you how I do it. This is when I say gloves comes in very handy. You take a big glob of grease like this, put it in the middle of your hand like that. You take your wheel bearing and you take this part of the wheel bearing that I told you grease needs to go in like this, and you continually push it down on the grease just a little bit and keep doing that. Keep working it back and forth. I'm going to do this a little bit and I'll show you. I know it's hard for you to see right now, but you'll get an idea in just a second. You see what happens? You see how the grease starts to push out through here? The new grease is being pushed in the back. The old grease is coming out through here. So this we're going to wipe away and we're going to throw it away. Then we just continue doing this until the grease comes out all the way around the bearing. You see how it's coming out? And you continually turn the bearing and you do it to another section at the same time. Turn it. Right? I'm going to take this crap out of there. We don't want to use this. And then we just continue doing that. I'm not going to bore you with this because you'll be here for a couple of minutes watching this. Just like that. Now we cleaned it off to get all that grease, the old grease out of it. So we're going to pack up the other bearing. And once we get this packed up, we'll come right back and I'll show you how to put the bearing back into the rotor and then how to reassemble it onto the car. Very important how you put it on the car. You don't want to tighten it on too tight and destroy the bearing. It'll definitely burn the bearing up. So let me finish this up and then we'll come right back. See what I mean about it being a messy job? If you don't have gloves on, you're going to have to clean your hands off, but I do. Nothing like taking it off, and you got a clean hand underneath it. There. See? We'll go with a pair of gloves and we'll continue. Okay. Okay. Okay, I hope you can see that. We're going to take our seal, put it in here like this. You hold it down like this, and we're going to tap it in right there. Just like this. Now I just want to point out, obviously I did put the bearing inside there, so it's ready to go back together right now. All right, so let's go up and we'll continue. All right, so now we take our nut off like this. We slide our rotor over the top, and you'll feel it snap into where it belongs, and you'll feel the seal and the bearing go in. You take your wheel bearing that you previously packed with grease. We're going to take that other washer that was over the top. Remember, there's only one way it goes. The flat part goes up and down. Push it in like that. And we're going to put the nut on. We're going to screw the nut on by hand, as tight as you can by hand. Now, I just want to point this out to you also. There is torque specs to torque this on here. I don't usually torque it on. I think the torque specs are anywhere from 20 to 25 foot-pounds. What I normally do is get on here with the adjustable pliers like this, rotate your rotor, tighten it as tight as you can, still spins, then break it loose, you bring it down just till it comes in contact, and you go just a hair more. That's fine. If you want to torque it on, I think it's like 20 to 25 foot-pounds. I don't like torquing it. I use it like this. I've been doing this like this for 40 years, so I know that it's good. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that crown that we took off, that lock. Now that we know that the cotter pin goes down through this way here, through the top. So we're going to line this crown up. Now this goes only on one way. And if it doesn't fit exactly right, you could take it off and turn it. Take it off and turn it. Take it off and turn it, just till it lines up. And then once it lines up, like that, now this goes right straight through without a problem. We take our cotter pin, stick our cotter pin through, just tap it in, all the way down like this. Grab it with a pair of vice grips or cutting pliers, whatever, and you take this and you twist it up like this and in. All right? I always take them and crimp them in as far as they can so we will not interfere with the cap. Now remember what I told you about the cap. Somebody beat the end of this cap down in here and they flattened it down. We don't want to contribute anything to that. So we're going to take it on, put it on nice and easy, and just tap the outside edge gently, just like that. It goes right in. But if it doesn't, you would come in here with a little chisel, put it on that lip right there, and just tap the lip to knock it in, just like that. See? That's it, it's in all the way. And now when you spin it, you shouldn't hear any clicking in there whatsoever, which we don't. It's nice and clean. Now, rotors come with fluid, with grease on them. I did clean this off with some brake cleaner already, so it's nice and clean and ready to go back together. All right? Now, take our caliper mounting bracket, you put it over the top like this, squeeze your brake pads together, take your bolts that you previously took out, and you can catch them through the back. And you want to catch them by hand. You don't want to use a ratchet yet. Make sure that they're caught all the way, and then we're going to tighten it in by hand so we make sure they're not cross-threaded. Okay, so they're nice and tight now. All right? Now, the mounting bracket is, you can torque it on or you can just tighten it on by hand as tight as you can. These call for 100 foot-pounds, so we're going to torque these down. You don't have to torque these down. You can make them as tight as you can by hand, but you know, I'm just showing you as a demonstration of how to torque it down. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our caliper off. Make sure that your brake hose is not twisted. It's got to be perfectly straight. Let me just show you this. And it's a little better. Okay. Make sure that your brake hose is not twisted around like this. Otherwise you're going to have a problem. So make sure it's nice and straight. All right? We take a little bit of grease, and everywhere that the brake pad is going to touch, you put a little bead of grease on here, just like this, and here, and here, and last is right there. Okay? And we're going to take this and slide it over the top, like that. We're just going to push our slide pins in to accommodate the caliper. Then we're going to put our I think they're 13mm bolts, screw them in by hand. We're not tightening anything yet. All right, now we'll tighten these up. I think the torque specs on these are anywhere from, I think about 20, 25 foot-pounds, something like that. I don't tighten them like that. I just do it by hand, nice and tight. Same thing here. Okay, that's it, we're done. Okay, let me just explain to you what I did again. Okay. So what we did is let's start with the rotor here. We put our rotor on, we packed our wheel bearings, put our new seal in, we tightened up the bearing. We also put that lock pin through the cotter pin through there, through that crown nut that goes over the top. We made sure that the cap is on and nice and tight. We made sure it's pushed in all the way. Like I said, the bearings are lubricated. We put our mounting bracket back on. We tightened up the 15mm here, as well as down on the bottom right here too. We tightened that up too. We put our new brake hardware in. We lubricated every place that the brake pad is going to touch. We lubricated, including on the mounting caliper itself. We also installed our slide pin bolts here from the caliper into the mounting bracket, and we lubricated our slide pins. Very, very important. All right, so now that this is all set, we're going to get in the car. Let's see. Okay, that's it. We're all done. All right, now before you take it out for a test drive, you want to get in the vehicle, step on the brake, pump the brake pedal up until the pedal comes up to the top. And that way you'll have a nice firm pedal when you take it out for test drive. All right, any questions or comments, you need to talk to me about anything, you send me an email. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about anything. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.